Alright, let's get to going. This is going to be really boring to watch. I'm just going to preface this. It's not going to be a fun, exciting piece of content. I'm just going to throw that out there now. Let's do it. I have no idea how this is going to come off with stream, but we'll play it by ear. We'll see how this goes. So, today, there were patch notes. They happened. Not really patch notes. It was just an update. We're going to go over this real quick, make sure that I have everything that's needed, understand what's in play. I've already read it, but I want to read it again, make sure that I'm not missing anything. We'll go through it, make sure we have all the details, and then we're going to jump over to the Sims. We're just going to focus on the Phase 7 BIS for sweaty parsing for now, for Rogue. We'll work through this. We can go through all the specs. Generally, at this scale, and we're just doing 60 seconds, so this may change for other iterations, but generally all of Backstab are the same. That might change when it comes to Trinket, but we'll get there. We'll deal with that when we get there. I'm not gonna deal with it right now. So I'm gonna sort Z to A. Do Backstab last because that's the one that is probably gonna change the most. But first, let's go look at this. Let's see what we got. Encourage everyone, like, as I'm going through this, I might zone out for a minute here and there because I'm trying to think and not lose track of stuff. But if you have recommendations, updates, things you'd like to see, call it out. I'll try to get to it where I can, right in between thoughts and what. So let's go through this real quick. So it's basically just saying that they are making some changes based on some feedback from the current PTR testing, or at least last round, which I think is actually still up now, or it was at least yesterday. The primary focus of the next test is to review some changes they made to the military core. This is essentially adding in the Wrath mechanic. So Resuvius, it looks, I mean, if you look here, we'll be adding a mechanism. Vague, but you know what it is. A mechanism to the Instructor Resuvius encounter that makes it a bit friendlier to raid groups that don't have multiple priests. So essentially what this is in Wrath, they had 2 pylons. There might just be 1 pylon. Who knows? We'll see what they do. But there were 2 pylons, and anyone could click the pylon, and it was essentially a mind control pylon, so you could click it, didn't have to be a priest. You could do the mind control in the ad, and that's that. I assume that this will also introduce a threat modifier and maybe a damage increase to the ads as well. It's not mentioned here, but after PTR testing, I can't imagine that does not happen. So we'll see how that goes. I would imagine that is the case, though. Have to sit tight and see. What's next? We'll be adjusting 4 horseman encounter mechanics to be friendlier to small groups or groups with fewer than 4 or 8 tanks. Okay. This one is probably just they're having them run to the corners. So what will happen is you'll be able to 1 or 2 tank it. I wouldn't be surprised. It'll be interesting during prog, like early on when we don't have gear. I would assume that you will have to 2 tank this. You would have 2 tanks, 1 on Thane and 1 on Mograine. I think that's his name. The meteor guy and the tank buster guy. And then the 2 in the back, Zeliek and whatever the hell her name is, Lady Blamo or whatever. They can be tanked by anybody. Zeliek, I don't remember which one. One of them, I think it's Zeliek. You could have just like a ret tank. Any plate melee, they are perfectly fine. Just heal through it. And then the other one, you can have a ranged tank. Usually it's a healer that just gets like healing threats. Like a Holy Paladin would probably be really good there. Because they can keep threat with like Exo and stuff. But then also be able to like have Righteous Fury with Exo and get threat from healing. So probably what you'll do there is 2 tank that. But then later on, you're just gonna 1 tank it. Like you'd probably have like a hunter or something pull Mo green, and then they just pull it over to actually it would probably be healing thread or something. They'd just be pulled over to Thane, and then you just cleave them both down. You probably could, when we're looking at speed parsing, you probably one tank that fight, which is pretty interesting going from like 4 to 8, right? We'll see how that goes. It's basically aligning it with the Wrath fight as well. So we'll see what the exact thing is. That's my speculation though. Plan to fix a bug with the orders mechanic in the military quarter that was causing it to affect more than 3 people in the raid. This is basically the empowered affix where it'll tell you to do like an emote. It sounds like it was impacting like everybody maybe. We didn't do empowered military, so I'm not sure. But I think it's like you have to, you'll get a debuff or something, or an emote, and it'll tell you to do an emote. And if you react to it, I think it was giving you like a speed boost. It sounds like they're gonna change that to only affect 3 people, and they're going to add more benefits to doing it properly. More than speed, probably. Can't imagine they would want to do damage, because then you're starting to do some weird stuff with like parsing and RNG and stuff. So maybe it's like health or something. That would be fine. Health and movement speed or something like that. I doubt it will be damage, but who knows, right? They could do something like that. All right, what else we got? Let me make sure that this is working properly. Seems like everything is good. No drop frames or anything. Cool. All right. What else? So now Sanctified Gear. We've iterated on the Sanctified Gear system based on our internal observations and the excellent feedback provided by players. Here's a look at what we're changing. Capping the number of pieces of Sanctified Gear that will contribute to power bonuses. 8 pieces was 12. We felt that this would allow more build diversity and encourage you to mix and match additional set pieces and not worry about losing out on the massive power you'd gain from those 4 additional pieces. So this one's pretty straightforward. With 12, the interesting part is that every class is basically required to wear 6-piece, right? Like I don't. Again, I'm not an expert in all the classes. I can only speak to Rogue, but I'm pretty sure that majority, if not all, are going to want to wear 6-piece tier 3 at minimum, right? And the itemization on the tier 3 is actually pretty good on some of them. Like, for instance, for Rogue, there's like one of them has like hit, crit, and expertise. Like, it's wild. So you're going to want to wear 6-piece at the very least for the stat bonus, because that's a 25% damage, right? From the stacking 25 stack debuff. So there's that. The problem we were running into with the 12 is that it locks you in to all max gear and or invasion and Karazhan gear, right? The problem with that is there are, and I'll just speak to Rogue, like it was, and we can just look at it here, wasn't that big of a deal for Saber or Muty. Let's see, 36,000, 36, 35. Not a big deal for them, because they could run the shoulder enchant, and then they could run the 6-piece, and that was pretty good. But Backstab, you see, drops down to 28. The problem is Backstab is so dependent on set bonuses. Multiple set bonuses. So you want your dagger crit, you want your ambush, and then even like the 4-piece tier 2, the increased damage with main hand abilities or whatever it is, combo building abilities, whatever. Like those, it needs all of those to function properly, to be competitive. So because you were locked into 6-piece and locked into having to equip every single slot, upper slot, but not including weapons or trinkets, you were locked out of your tier bonuses. You could only pick one, which was your, realistically, it was just the shoulder enchant. So you could pick one instead of, realistically, it needs 2 to 3. This change basically lets us mix that up. What I'm interested in testing tonight is to see how many we could fit in. it's possible that we could fit in Garaji, the Veiled Shadow one, as well as another one. But I wanna play with that and see what's possible there. Curious what will happen. So we'll revisit that when the time comes. Power gain per piece of sanctified armor has been increased to compensate for adjustments above. So this is basically saying if the total was 300%, which it was, for 12 at max rank, at ranks 10 trinket, per piece is going to increase to maintain that 300%. So instead of whatever the hell it was, I don't know what it was, 28%, whatever, 25%. Instead of that, it's going to be like 34% or 37%, whatever the math is to make times 8 equal 300 is what it'll probably be. That one's pretty straightforward. Power gained per piece has been increased. We talked about that. The Seal of Dawn trinket line that provides bonus inside Nax will also count as a sanctified item. So essentially the trinket, which is the reason you run it, so the rank based trinket, that's also going to be sanctified. So +1. Good change. Undead Slaying sets will now provide a bonus of +2 to your current sanctified instead of 3. So prior, that Undead Slaying is a 3-piece. It's bracers, chest, gloves, I believe. That previously was if you wore all 3, the 3-piece set bonus was +3 sanctified, and each of the items were sanctified. So essentially you could get +6 sanctified from 3 items, which is really great. But it was also causing an implication, especially with the lowered maximum from 12 to 8, that it would almost force people to include it in BIS, because you're getting 6 slots, getting essentially another 75% damage from wearing 3 slots instead of 6. That's bumped down to 5 now. So 3 from the gear, 1 per piece, and then 2 from the set instead of 3. Still good. Still gonna be really great for like the gearing process. Really strong. And then progression clarifications. I don't care much about this. This is just saying that you can get the these remnants of valor, which is what is used to upgrade the trinket. You can get them in the raid, get more based on the higher difficulty of the raid that you do. It'll take more each rank you go up. Makes sense. Bosses kill on higher difficulties. We talked about that. But also there's a repeatable quest outside of Naxxramas that can be done repeatedly with no limit. And that the quest rewards of that will increase over time, so as a catch-up mechanic. But the trinket upgrades are gated, so you can't progress past a certain rank of the trinket until a certain week has passed. Then they are dodging giving us any form of feedback on what that might look like. So are we looking at a 10-week Naxxramas? Or are we looking at a 15-week Naxxramas, right? Like we don't know yet. Based on some of the verbiage here, I have a feeling it's gonna be at least a 12-week, but that's speculation. I'm just looking at some of the examples they gave, and like they use weeks in a way that is like, yeah, see, so this is what's indicating that this quest will provide a small number of remnants of valor, but will increase the amount it gives every few weeks. So if you're talking about few weeks, if you're using the term few weeks, as an iterative, and it's going to increase multiple times, I mean, even if it just increases 3 times, that's 9 weeks. So just using that as an example of scale, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at 12 to 15 weeks here for this phase. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're like really big jumps, and that, they're only gonna do it a couple times. We'll see. Also, the Remnants of Valor bind on an account and can be traded to your alt characters. The annoying part about this is that it doesn't seem to work with Horde faction, cross faction. So Kind of annoying if you have Alliance and Horde characters, but that is also the case for everything else currently, so not a big deal. Alright, so that's really it. That's all we need to know. So the important things are cap of Sank has changed from 12 to 8. Seal of the Dawn trinket now counts as 1, and Undead Slaying moves from +6 to +5. So if you just wear the 3-piece with the trinket, that's 6 out of 8 right off the bat. You can be full 8 out of 8 the first week before an axe even comes out, which is maybe what people will want to do. We'll have to wait to see. I'll have to rerun the Prebis stuff as we get close. Okay, let's do something. Let's dig in. We're gonna do Saber first, just because it's on top. So this is where we're at right now. And I was actually looking at this 3035057. Okay, and we're doing 50,000 iterations. And to quickly go through this, again, this is all going to be standardized, right? So like all of these sims that I have in the spreadsheet here, these are all going to be using the same settings, the same consistent talents, and rotations are all designed to be similar. Similarly aggressive, right? So these are the sweaty ones. So they're gonna have stuff. We'll walk through it now. I'm simming everything as orc because that's top performing. Styling issues here. That's gross. And you can see, it uses almost everything in these sweaty APLs. I like to do them at the more aggressive level first, find the extreme, the top performers, right? Top 10%, whatever it is, and then dial it back when we're talking about the more casual. So you can see here, this is pretty standard. This is what every competitive rogue is expected to bring to raid every time. So I won't go into every buff. People know what they are. If they don't, go read the compendium, and it's all listed in there. You can ask any questions you might have. Again, same deal here. This is the cut to the chase variant. So you can see we've got like 4 out of 5 lethality and 2 out of 3. The normal Carnage spec here runs the opposite. Runs 3 out of 3 and 3 out of 5. I guess that's not opposite. You know what I'm talking about. And then here's the rotation. Again, I'm not going to go through every single rotation. You can come in here and look through these. They're all documented. This is the rotation that we built for Saber that works for both Carnage and Cut to the Chase. You can see the conditionals are all in here, as well as a fairly sweaty pre-pull. I am including the 25 stack activation on pull. Initially, I was not going to do that because it would just be like a 1%. And actually, if you go and you look at the sims that the WoW Sims team has put together, they do not include it. I recommended against that because while this is very sweaty for like a progression guild, right? To sit there and like use HAT and target a roach and have someone spam heal you with rank 1 heals so you can get CP to cast Slice and Dice, right? Like until you have 25 stacks. That's horrible. It's what we're gonna do. Like it is 100% what sweaty people are gonna do. But the problem is anyone who is remotely speedrunning is also going to have 25 stacks. Even if you're not like amazing at it, if you just are consistently pulling, you are going to go into the boss with 25 stacks. That's what's gonna happen, right? Yeah, all you need is 30 seconds, right? So that's what's gonna happen. People are gonna make it a point to do that, so that's why I included it in the Sims. If that was not the case and it did not have that dynamic, I probably would not have included it. But it's too substantial of a damage increase. 25% is no joke, especially with multiplicative damage. That just doesn't make any sense. So if you see a discrepancy between the Sims we have here and the Sims on the sheet, that's why. All right, moving on. Oh, all right. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look-see. So this is cut to the chase. Now, what we want to do is make sure, bringing my stuff up here side. All right, so we want to make sure we're running 6-piece. 6-piece tier is non-negotiable, and we need to, absolutely, we need to run 6-piece. So the question becomes, what are the alternatives to gear that we can use for off pieces, and are they better than the 6-piece tier? What this also does, this is an interesting thing. What this also does is, one of the concerns that I had was that the 3-piece invasion gear would become mandatory for BIS, but because they've reduced from 12 to 8, that's no longer the case, because you're already wanting to wear 6-piece of tier 3 and you have the trinket, so that's immediately 7. So realistically, the only limitation that you are going to have with every BIS combination is going to be, it's going to be 2 things: 6-piece tier 3 and 1 sanctified item, and your trinket, which you're going to wear anyway, right? But 1 sanctified item. You want to make sure that you have the best combination of off pieces and the 1 sanctified item to get you to 8. That's the trick. That's the problem that we have to solve for every spec, is trying to figure out what is the combination that is most optimal for the 6 pieces that you are going to use and the remaining 6 off pieces. Let's look at it. Let's take a look. This is where, I mean, we just jump in, right? Like, we just look at it and we see. So what we can probably do to start is like take a look at the tier and figure out which pieces of the tier are valuable, right? Like, which ones are best itemized and which ones are, you know, could be improved. So the chest has hit, expertise, and attack speed. Attack speed is generally not super great, but that might change once stacked up to a certain point. Max gear looking crazy. Yeah, and this is just to note too, we are kind of wasting our time a little bit doing this, but we don't have a choice because there are more itemization changes coming. So we're going to do our best to get a foundation into place with the gear and itemization we have that's on the PTR currently. We're going to do this again, but hopefully to a lesser extent than what we're doing now. We can kind of get a ballpark of where we're going to be. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So gloves are attack speed 2 and hit crit. Hit attack speed 1. And to note, we don't. So this is like expertise 7, but I think the cap is 6, if I remember correctly. So that's also a thing. Also, I'm gonna remove this. $28 agi. It says like, and this is the thing, like this gear, this gear is quite good, right? But let's compare these two. So like the Bone Scythe ring is 28 agi, hit, expertise, attack speed. But the Band of Unnatural Forces has no agi, but it has crit, hit, attack speed, and 46 attack power. Like, that's wild, right? It's quite good. And you can see the EP calculations. Again, these are not necessarily something that you want to like follow 100%. Like, you don't want to follow them blindly, but they're usually a good indication of where there might be potential. Sometimes it interacts with gear differently, and that is not always accurate, like around weapons and stuff, but that's the idea. Playing Fire Mage right now, and the Sims are hilarious. Yeah, they were like 80,000 or something like that. Yeah, they're just, it's like Ignite stacking or something. I don't know if enough about mages, but even mages, I mean, mages are blasting. We had one of our mages on Thaddeus or something doing like insane damage. It was pretty nuts on PTR. And that was without the, multiplicative damage. But that's bound to happen when you go crazy with numbers. Like, let's dig in and just take a look at some stuff here. So we can ditch 3. So I guess let's think about this when we're talking about Saber. What are the valuable set bonuses that we want to consider? If we can fit in another set bonus, what would that set bonus be? So we can kind of take a look here. The Zandalar stuff, that's not going to be worth anything, right? Because you're not going to fit in anything more than like a 3. And there's just nothing here that aligns with Saber, right? So you're looking at this. Your 2-piece avoidance, so like tier 1 is useless. I guess not useless, because the poison is actually not bad. Just not great. But are you gonna fit in another 6-piece? Probably not, right? And I guess no, you couldn't fit in another 6-piece, because there's only 1 ring. And you have your neck. So you could fit in a 4 at most, or a 3 at most. What are the pieces that we can change? Vest, boots, glove, hood, pants, 1. Maybe 4. But there's no... So we can drop 3... Yeah, I think the 2.5 is the way to go. The interesting part of this is figuring out like what is the balance, because like, well, let's just take this for instance. So say we want to look at this. What are the 2 pieces of 2.5 that will be least, as far from an itemization perspective, that are going to be the least valuable? So we could just say like maybe boots. And again, this is the difference too. Like, this is the tough part. You want to get the set bonus, but you also want to acknowledge that these are 10 eye levels higher, and the itemization on this might actually get better. But let's just put these in here and see, right? So we want to make sure that we're choosing. So like, what is the investment here of the itemization, of how much it will take to get the bonus? So like, are you having to invest 4 pieces? Or are you having to invest 2 pieces? Because you probably want to use the 4-piece one for the shoulder enchant, so you can use the higher item level equipped for the stats. That's what I'm trying to kind of figure out now. So if we were to take 2-piece, say, what was this? Shoulders? Probably shoulders. So if we take shoulders and boots, that leaves helm, vest, leggings, which I think are the highest stat value slots. We leave those to Bone Scythe, and we can still afford to drop 1 more. So here we get the 2-piece of Death Dealer, which is another 20% damage, which is kind of required, right, for this. And then we can still afford to lose 1 slot, 1 sanctified slot. Let me make sure I don't anything equipped there. Yep. What are we doing here? New to WoW, trying to understand more. Basically looking at Rogue Bis based on new changes that were announced today here. So for the next phase in Season of Discovery. But don't jump it into the Sims, seeing if we can figure this stuff out. We're working on Saber Slash right now. Cut to the chase, Saber Slash. Okay, so we've got the 7 out of 9. We can drop one more of these. I assume it's gonna be. This is the thing. I don't necessarily know the itemization of the off tier. Polar bracers. I mean, I'd imagine that like some of these are still gonna be still quite good. Docker bands. That's a lot of AP. But then again, like expertise is a thing, but do we really need more expertise because we already have 6? Not really. Let's see where we're at right now. So this is, I want to bump this down -1 because 8 is the most we can get contribution. We've got the 10, we've got that, we've got that. We've got fist and sword. Oh, you know what I should have done? I was actually, let me fix this real quick. What are we doing? SSL. TTT. I should change the base. Let's close out of that. Reopen it. Change the base here to be -3. Now sim it. Get this base, and then we work from that. I had my saved base was using 12 sync, which is just not where we're at. Okay. Now we can equip this. -1 is in place. And we go. Now we just kind of play around with this until we find the right combination, right? So what we've changed already has already given us a DPS increase. That's a good start. So try to figure this out here. Make sure we got all of our enchants and stuff into play. What is I've got the finishing moves. Cost 50% less energy. So right now we've got that, we've got the 2.5, and we've got the 6. We can afford to lose one more. So at this point we're not going to be getting any more set bonus, right? Like that. I think that's safe to say. One interesting thing that I do want to kind of check. Is there an opportunity here for us to... Oh god, I hate this, but... Is there an opportunity here? I bet you the answer is yes. You know? I bet you the answer is yes. If we were to come in here and... swap this out... Yeah, you're right. I should have done that. I'll go back and change that in a second. It shouldn't be 8. It should just be 12 and forced to 12. Forced up to 12 until we fix the sims. So. Good call. Let's do that now. Let's do that now before I screw around with this anymore. We're at 12 here. Boom. Save it. Yep, that's a good catch. Save. Pop this into here. Bump that up. 35. Okay. Now we're in a good spot. Good catch. Okay. One thing that I wanted to try early is the Veiled Shadows. It's just so good. It's so good. And it would give us the ability to bring in another set bonus. I think actually this is gonna work. And now that I'm thinking about it, everyone's probably still gonna use it. now that I'm like taking a second to think about this, it's probably gonna be the same as last phase. Everyone is still gonna run Veiled Shadows. But we'll prove it out. We'll prove it out, make sure that we know what we're talking about, and we'll go from there. I'm just gonna bump this down to 0 just to make sure that we have documented what we want. But now we have 3-piece, we have 2-piece tier 2, and we have 6-piece tier 3. This is stupid. Oh my god, this is stupid. Okay. It's kind of nuts, honestly. Let's just see where we're at with this. So we'd be able to... This would basically be 7 as it currently sits, but we've got stuff in here like the trinket that would bring us up to 8. Boom, done. So we'll bring this up 5 just to get the bonus. What do we think this is going to come out to? I think this might come out to like 38. It went down. 4-piece. Oh, you're right. You know what? I forgot to add the I forgot to change this, so that's why it's going down, because we replaced. Yep. So if we swap this out with 4-piece tier 2, let me just confirm which one's here. 4-piece tier 2 is going to be the main hand combo generating. That's Scoundrel. Is that Scoundrel? No, Scoundrel's that. It's Butcher. Okay. Yeah, this makes sense that this is a loss, because you're eating pieces for no tier because we already had it on. Okay, so now we have 2.5, 2-piece 2.5. We have AQ10, 6-piece tier 3, and we have 4-piece tier 2. And is this actually less? No way. It's actually less? That's great. How does that work? Save this so we can bounce between the two here. So previously, so this was 34,652. Now if we come in here and we change this up, 34,652. Yeah, 35,42. That's interesting, huh? You know, I guess it's the weapons, right? Because it's a 1.1 and you're getting a lot of procs. Look at the instant poison damage profile. That's wild. Your top damage, because we're using fast weapons, 26% of your damage comes from instant poison. That's crazy. That's pretty nuts. Damn. So I'm just curious. Historically, this has not been great, right? But I'm curious, because of this damage profile, because poisons are so strong, because of like the 1.1 and we're using a fast main hand, I'm curious what Toxicologist is going to be. Probably not the same, right? Surely. Yeah, that drops, okay. Because the other one is too strong. That makes sense. It's still quite good though. That's surprising. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Alright, Bone Scythe Ring has 28 Agi versus Unnatural. Would scale better with buffs, maybe. Maybe. Take a look. So if we were to do that, we'll just save that. If we were to do that, then we'll grab Bone Scythe slot, and we can afford to drop 1. So which one would we drop? In favor yeah, like what do you drop? I mean, there's, I guess you don't need to drop, you could just use it. It just might scale better. Let me take a look. Now it drops a bit. I think it's because like the itemization of the stats on it are great, right? Like the 28 agi and the attack speed thing I could see coming into play, but this one has attack speed too. I think the Where are we at? Still at 6%, so it's not the expertise. The expertise is actually... Is it wasted? Let's see. No, that brings us up to 6, so that makes sense. I thought for sure, that we would be seeing that. What if we swap this with like a big boy, a Gressel or something? No. A little bit worse. A little bit worse. That's kind of wild, right? Oh, you know what though? I didn't change rune. Let's change rune. I mean, it's not going to be that much. I don't think it's going to be that much. Maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't change rune to dagger. So we've got sword and dagger now properly. I also kind of want to check poison, even though like just because of how the scaling the damage profile is. I almost want to check that and see if it's better to run than an offhand. Probably not. It's not that far behind, to be honest. Like, it's pretty close. This is the Veiled Shadows combination. It's funny how it's actually not, even the nature specialization is actually not that far behind the actual weapon one. That's pretty wild. Okay, I mean, I think this just says that this particular combination is not quite where we need it to be. It's not quite competing with the this setup, which is basically just running more sanctified. 460 above. So this is our current best is 35.4 as it sits. Which is 400 DPS higher than what we had before, which isn't a lot. It's not a lot. So let's look at the slots that we don't have equipped and see what options are available. And again, like, not everything is here, so this is going to be a little tough, but just seeing what options are available in these off slots and see if there's anything that might be an option. So that's the highest DP. And then these are all spell. We don't need any more. The good thing about Sadist Collar is that you get Agi Crit and AP, and there's no expertise, because that actually would be wasted, because we're already 6. That one in particular is actually quite nice. This is saying that Bone Scythe pauldrons are slightly better than Death Dealer pauldrons, but by how much? I guess is the wonder, right? Which or Bone Scythe, yeah, both Bone Scythe is better than Death Dealer, which makes sense because it's a higher tier, but it's not really something that we'd want to optimize because the shoulders are already in a lesser slot. So that makes sense there. Shroud of Dominion, I doubt anything is going to touch this, but because it has, well, maybe actually, maybe, like Concentrated Hate very well, because it has strength and agi and hit, and this has hit, this has crit, attack speed, and AP. Let's try running it with the cloak. Do you have any other options? I mean, I don't think it's gonna be better, but 35. Yeah, yeah. That cloak is really good. Like that shroud is nasty. That's a lot of AP. That's a lot of AP. And they got the attack speed that's kind of stacking up too. So this is a little interesting. 40. This has 30 strength, 46 agility, 28 strength, 40 agility, but this has 2% hit. The problem is we lose. If we do this, we drop down to 5% expertise. I don't think that works. I think, yeah, you can tell, like a couple thousand behind. So that makes sense that that's not competitive. Again, we're just trying to see if there's anything other than tier that is that might be competitive. You got the Bloodfang stuff. I don't see these stalker bands being something that we would remotely even consider using outside of these. That doesn't make sense to even try to use those. All right. You've got Gravedigger gauntlets. I don't see these being. These are too good. 2% attack speed, chance to hit, and chance to crit with 3211. This has random enchantment on it. Maybe there's a world. Are these? I guess these can just roll something on them. I'm not familiar with those. Check waste. Waste. This has expertise on it. I could see never ending maybe being a thing here. Agony belt. See that? Are there any others? No, it's just agony. But again, there's a lot going on here. The tier is so stacked. I think that's why the itemization changes are coming, because so far, like nothing touches the tier. Like none of it is competitive, which is okay. But it just means that everyone's gonna run around in full tier. These are pretty big, but again, these pants are so 45 agility on pants. Like, what in the world? These pants are very good, though. These are a good alternative if you can't get the tier, or if these itemization changes on these pants are changed at all. They're probably going to be good. But for now, again, like, the tier is just too good. It's so strong. Bone Scythe, 7 Hall. Saying that Bone Scythe are like really good. Oh, Jesus. I think this might be something to look at. Is trying to find another death dealer to swap out for. I think if once we finish this, I'd like to go play around with that, because the Bone Scythe boots are very, very good. Like, that's 32 agi, 15 strength, and then you have hit and attack speed and 64 attack power. That's massive. And then as far as rings go, I don't think there were any other competitive rings. There was one other one, which was Ghastly Ring, which has 48 AP and crit, versus all of that. And then Unnatural Forces is amazing in itself. So I don't think you're changing either of these rings. They're just too good. We could test it real quick just to be sure, but I don't see them being competitive at all. Too good. And that's that. So we've done a little bit with. I did some testing on the weapons and stuff already. I don't suspect those are going to be changing at all unless the itemization changes on them. Dark Rider's spine. Pretty sure I tested all this already, but we can go through and look at it again. So this gives 1 expertise, which we do use currently. What else does it give? And 16 AP. I guess maybe there's a world where you don't take that, where you put the expertise somewhere else. Maybe there's a better combination. Reanimation has 28 and 1 crit. That's the ring, right? Yeah, it's not bad. It's still like 35k, but it's just not the problem. And maybe this is the itemization that they're doing. The tier is just so good. Like it is itemized really well, and the stat values are really high, like higher than of the other drops. So I mean, I do think there's a world where we try to take these boots because they're so good. Like those are amazing boots. I wish they had expertise on them so I could drop this toxin injector. But like even if we just say we take that, now we need to find another source to use for this, for the 2-piece. Because like right now this is not going to be. Wow, that's crazy that those boots are that good. Dropping, that's actually a little scary. We're only 400 DPS behind when dropping the 2-piece. I'm checking something. Slave Maker, chance to get critical, 16, 24, 4 agility, chance to hit by 1. 6 agility, chance to crit, 16. 24, chance to crit. Do we drop the 2.5? We drop the 2. And this is assuming no itemization buffs. If this stuff is buffed anymore, do we drop the 2.5 and run 9 out of 9? This is where I'm trying not to spend too much time. This is 37 DPS behind using 2-piece pre-itemization changes. That's kind of wild, man. All these ranged weapons are like, they sim the same. Really close together. Like within 100 DPS of each other. But yeah, the injector is really good if you need the extra expertise. But if you don't need the extra expertise, then you can run any of these. Like Dark Rider's spine. I think this comes from Kara. Seems quite good. 2.5 Helm legs, soul string for range, and drop the extra expertise that's over the cap. Let's take a look. Let me just get this into place real quick here. think this is the one that was highest performing. We're gonna save that off as a variant. Yeah, this is 40 DPS behind. Okay, if we go back to where we were before, this is 2-piece, but you want 2-piece with helm and legs. Okay, so let's swap Bone Scythe in. Bone Scythe in. We're gonna do Death Dealer. Death Dealer. Okay, and then that's gonna put us at 7%. Now we can drop this, or I think we said Soul String was the big boy. 35.8. 5. That'll do it. That'll do it. Helm. It's interesting that like the two, and this is just an itemization thing, because the Death Dealer helm, and I guess the stats on the legs are quite good too. You would think that it would actually, we'd try to avoid these spots because they're the high stat volume contributors with like base stats. This is interesting. All right, well let's save this in. We're gonna save that in. Wow, that's wild. And yeah, I think the soul string seems to be the best performing. The others are pretty close though. Like this one was like 100 behind, and this you can get from Kara, so just like go get it now. Even the crossbow I think was pretty close. It was only 20 behind. It's like any of these options. I mean, these are really small stat sticks, so not a huge deal. Yeah. Crossbow of Imminent Doom is 7 DPS higher. How crazy is that? Stuck running AQ10 for the rest of my life. It's about the same. This is just, I mean, 2 to 10 DPS when you're talking about 35,000 is use either of them. Whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's pretty wild. Cool. And I don't think weapons change. I think those stay the same. I've already tried playing with a bunch of other stuff, and this is the best I've been able to find. Played with Gressel. Servo arm simmed a little bit higher, but we're not confident in the proc rate here. This needs to be confirmed, so we need to see it on the live server, and then determined that the proc rate is correct on live servers. Right now, there's a guess in place. So that makes sense. And then I don't see Venomous going away. I just don't. Do not see that going away. If it did, it would probably be in place of like Slayer or Kiss. 35.8. I mean, it's not that much worse. Really not that much worse. Where is it using it? I mean, it is much worse, but 200 DPS, 150 DPS. I assume it's using it on pole, right? Yes, it is. So just like Totem's usage, right? And then this one's like 500 DPS behind, something like that. 500-600. Yeah, 550. Just to compare, if we were to grab Dom or Jom Gabar instead, that's also not that far behind, like 800 DPS behind. So still very, very good until you get an Axe Drink. That's really strong. Seeing if we're missing anything here. You know, I'm curious, like something like Speedstone, because of the way everything is scaling. I'm sure it's not great, but it is worth checking stuff like this. Not horrible, because the way like these, like you could see with the results in the, isn't that right? The results of how like the damage breakdown is. With like, okay, and I see now in Venom is sitting a little bit higher than an instant poison. Sometimes with when the damage profiles are scaled like this, you can get some interesting stuff to happen, like this, like running a 1.3 and a 1.1 as Saber. Pretty interesting. All right, I think again, this is not perfect. This is going to change, especially because we know that these stats are going to change. But I think what we have here is probably a good start. It's a good foundation to have in place right at this moment. I do want to kind of check this Storm Rage one, just because it's like got 2% crit, it's got some AP on it, and the hate, like, I don't know, it's about the same. It's not that far behind. Okay, well that's good. That's good at least. It's 84. Yeah. Pretty comparable. Okay. Cool. I think this is a good place to be in for this specifically. Or cut to the chase. I mean, Carnage Saber's probably the same, right? So like we can go run that real quick. Let's go ahead and run this. So this one in particular, we're gonna export this link, and this is 35,830. 35,830. All right, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. All right, and we can revisit this stuff like once I get this out to everybody. People are gonna find some improvements, and we're gonna go from there. But this is at least a good start, you know. So we're gonna swap this, and this is gonna be Carnage. I think what will probably happen is that the itemization changes are gonna come out, and it'll probably mean that we'll change one of these Bone Scythe, one of the tier 3s, to an off piece. Because realistically, none of the off pieces that provide tier are particularly exciting because the tiers. So I'm assuming that's gonna happen. We'll see. All right. So this is the gear that we just chose, but this time running it as Carnage. We're at 37,315. 37,315. All right, that's that right now. So we've got 1,500 deep difference between Carnage and Cut to the Chase, which if you look at the old Muty, that's about the same, somewhere around there, closer to 2,000, 1,800 or something. Cool. All right, let's jump into Muty. Muty, the good thing about this is that Muty and Saber have very similar. I mean, realistically, they're almost the same, right? Like you have the extra dot, so you get snapshotting is a little bit more valuable, but as far as everything else goes, especially with Saber running on fast weapons, super similar. So I kind of want to just start with the same. I think that makes sense. Basically the same, yeah. Let's run it, see where we're at. We should be at 35,993. Pretty good. Good old consistent sim. All right, let's check it out. Are we running? This is the cut to the chase one. So let's check this out. We're gonna run SSL. Or sorry, whoops, messed that up. Reopen it. I forgot to check. So we're running Dream Eater and Harbinger. So let's run it, and we're gonna run Dream Eater, Harbinger, and I'll show you a fun little dealio on this one too that I found. Yeah, I do want to test the 3-piece AQ10 for sure on this. That'll be interesting on the shoulders. Although I kind of want to also check it, like actually wearing the pieces. Kind of want to check that. I don't know. We'll look at it and see. Either way. So now we have that. Let's make sure that we've got the right AT. This gets changed to Beauty, Poison Knife, and Venom, Subtlety, Dagger, and okay. Let's just check with what we have here. This is going to be Beauty C2C. Save it so we have it saved. And we're going from 36K to... I think everything looks pretty good here. A little bit over 36. 36.3. Okay, so there's our new norm. 36.3. And now we are one short expertise. Yep. So we pop this bad boy in. By eye level, so it's at the top. To bring us up to 37. Actually, not that much more. That's surprising, actually. You'd figure the expertise would add a bit more, but about 143. Offset by the stat differentiation, but yep. But still, improvement. We'll take it. 36.4 for cut to the chase. Now, what we wanted to check was the poison crit, right? Which is toxicologist, I think. $36.4. Wow, toxicologist. I guess you kind of need the efficient. You can't not have the efficient. So if we can't not have the efficient, yeah, efficient is just quite good. We already have that. So what did I wanted to test, you'd have to wear the 3-piece, yeah, but I would like to test that. So if we were gonna do that, let's look at it. So this Harbinger would turn into Dagger, which also means we would have to... We say that, I think we said that the Bone Scythe ring was not as good as Unnatural, but we can check that pretty easily. I don't remember exactly what we said. And then we'll have to take Cloak. This is a big hit too, because that Cloak is just so good. That hurts to lose that, right? That is quite painful. But if this is the play, say we do this, now we've got 6-piece, we've got 2-piece, we've got 3-piece, And we can change this to play around with whatever, right? Like we could do tier 2, we could do toxicologist. But let's try this. The problem is now we are sitting at 5 again. You know? So this could be a situation. Are there any necks that have expertise? I don't think there are. There's a defense neck. Yeah, there's the defense neck. Yeah, we could offset that by just keeping Bone Scythe Ring instead. You're right. I was thinking maybe there might be an opportunity there to get a little crafty with it, but this makes more sense. And that's fine. It's still very good, so it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I think this is everything. So this is using Toxicologist. I do want to check Butcher after this. But this looks good. Where were we at before? 36? Yeah, 36. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. I would not assume that this would align well with this damage profile. Yeah. You gotta get the fast in there. Gotta get the fast. Curious though. Yeah, Dream Eater's too good. Dream Eater's way too good. That's way too well designed of a weapon. Way too good. Sank Cow drop below 12. You're right. Good catch. So still about 100. Is it 36.4, I think, is where we're at? Yeah, about 100. 100 under. Still fairly comparable, right? Like 100 DPS when we're talking about 36,000. It's not like you're gonna RNG can't get you a #1 parse off that, right? But we're not worried about second best at the moment. Okay. Any other optimizations? We're at 6. We're looking good. There. We've got Dream Eater and Dagger. Curious if these swapped could be better. Yeah, you just said the same thing. Yeah. Yep. Let's try it out. Now you've got the bit faster. I mean, the same DPS. Well, it's a little bit behind, but 36. What? That's actually less good. Why is that? Higher proc rate on main hand? Hitting faster, higher proc rate? What's the damage profile? Same damage profile as Saber, except Mutilate does less of the damage because there's no dot. But other than that, almost identical. But yeah. I think this is good, like it's competitive, right? But as far as that goes, I don't think that this is gonna win. But what I would like to do, like you mentioned, is, well, I think I actually did already test this. I thought I did anyway. Maybe I did. If we go in here and try this out, something like this. Is there anything that could perform better than King's Fall for a slow dagger? I don't think so because of the damage difference. 73 versus 67. Even though the itemization on that is pretty good. Although it has no agi on it. It's still not as good. This is what we saw with Saber too, though, with like trying to get the biggest, hardest hitting weapons. It just didn't matter. It was all about just hitting as quickly as you can and getting as many poison procs as you can. And I think part of that is because we're running a 60-second encounter, which is probably realistic, right? Like, given the scaling and stuff and the varying difficulties. Part of it is because of that timing, and because of the whole like multiplicative DPS. I would admit. I think this is the best we have got. We're sitting at 6, we have 12. I think this is where we're at. $36, 4, 7, 6. We'll toss it in there for now and see where it goes. This is 36, 4, 7, 6. Okay, got CTTC there. And again, we'll revisit all this stuff. Hopefully get some more eyes on it. And yeah, be good. Dagger Nature, Totem. I don't see a world where Totem and Dream Eater are not used. I just don't see it. Yeah. This should be it. We got Carnage on there. Everything else is good to go. We've got our 12. Got our 6%. Save reference. Pop it up there. 37. 37, 2, 8, 6. 37, 2, 8, 6. Read your message in just a second. Saber is king at the moment. Not by a lot. But it did flip-flop because Muty was on top prior. So Saber's in the lead right now. Alright, what'd you say? One tiny note, Sadist Collar on PTR only had the 25 Agi 1 crit, Stam not top AP. 20 AP, blah 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 blah. Yeah, the itemization, I was saying this earlier, is like I'm trying not to spend too much time on this, right? Because we know that the itemization changes are coming. Hopefully they're coming with the patch next week. This week, is it? 29th, next week. Hopefully we're getting itemization changes with that. But until then, we're not going to know the specifics, but hopefully with what we have here, we can at least get an idea of generally what we're going to be working with as far as the composition, and then it'll just be swapping a piece out here, a piece out there. The problem we have right now is that the tier is just too good. It's way too good, to the point where the other stuff just isn't better. So we're wearing more tier than we need to, just because it's great. So that might change. And maybe the random enchantment thing is interesting. I don't know what the possible values of that are going to be. It could be gross. It could be like really strong if they do something crazy with it, or it could just be bad and like speed or can't be disarmed or something like that, right? So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah. And then I'm curious if there are going to be changes to weapons. Because, especially like with Saber, the whole like using the big heavy hitter weapons, no one is using them. Well, we haven't gotten to backstab yet. Maybe backstab. We'll see about that. But But yeah, okay. Let's do backstep. Let's do backstep. We're gonna start with Carnage. We're gonna start with Subtlety Carnage. Subtlety Carnage, huh? That's the big boy. That is the big boy. All attack speed expertise, yeah. The attack speed, I mean, attack speed on its own has historically not been amazing, right? Like, we've been able to get it for a long time, the enchant and stuff. But once we start getting it in mass, that's when things get a little crazy. Dream Meter becoming a consumable, yeah. I was just saying that earlier, like, I don't think there's a world where Saber and Mutilate ever get away from Dream Eater and Totem. They're just too good. They're way too great. Yeah, so if we go back, and again, these values didn't change that much. They changed, you know, within a range of 1,000 DPS from what they were before, right? So you can see the discrepancy here, right? Like, we go from 37,315 as Saber Karn to 29,685 as the top performer for backstab. Now let's see what we can do. Let's get a little creative here. This is the part that I'm not crazy about because we need to figure out what is the right combination here to get the necessary backstab set bonuses. But the problem is the scaling difference of itemization is so strong, as we saw with like choosing Bone Scythe over Death Dealer even, that I don't know how this is gonna have to work. So this might take us a bit because we're just gonna have to iterate, trial and error, and figure out if there's any combination here that magically fits together with 6 expertise and the corresponding set bonuses. So I'd imagine we'll still use Dream Eater, right? I mean, the energy flow is too good, and we can't afford to use the 3-piece Veiled, right? So we need the Opportunist, right? Now, whether or not we get that in a bonus in a set or not, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. The neck provides the 5%, right? But again, like, I guess neck is the least of our concerns because we're going, and again, this is an itemization thing, but we're going from 25 agi crit 20 AP to 13 agi hit, and then your ambush crit. So the big things that we need, yeah, like Ernie just said, like, the big things that we need are this 3-piece, right? The dagger crit, which I think is called Shiv Savant. Is that what they called it? Yeah, Shiv Savant. So there's your 5-piece crit for your ambush, right? Or for your backstab. And then you need the tier 2. Those are the big things, right? So it's a matter of how do we get that? Do we run we have to run tier 2, right? Because, like, we're not going to want to run ZG gear, I would imagine, just from a stat perspective. But maybe, I mean, maybe they're itemized the same way, I guess. But I think if I remember correctly, we can look at it. Maybe some of them are a little different. Let's make sure. I want to check the talents too. Just make sure we're running the ambush crit. Yeah, this is the subtlety build, so we're running the ambush crit. Alright. Let's just start. Let's start somewhere. Let's start somewhere. Opening move has 100% chance. That is the, what, tier 1? Sorry, tier 2. So that's the tier 2. So realistically, we would need to run... I think we need to run 4-piece tier 2. And then 3-piece ZG and shoulder. I think that's what we have to do. Because you're not going to be able to get 2-piece and 4-piece if you're running the ZG gear itself. I don't think that happens. Like, I don't know how you could accomplish that. ZG 3-piece uses up 2 sank slots, 2-piece tier 2, 4-piece on shoulder. Yeah, I suppose you. Well, let's try it. Let's just try it out. Let's get something down, and then we can iterate off of that. Let's start with what you're saying. Let's just get it out there and play around with it a little bit. So as far as ZG goes, what are the 3 pieces of ZG that we want to be running? We have the option of bracers, mantle, trinket. We're going to be using the trinket because it already uses it, right? So like that's good. So that's 1 piece. Neck, probably run neck. I'd imagine neck is probably a safe bet because it also gives us the 5% addition, like flat addition to the proc, to the cutthroat proc, which is pretty strong. So now we're at 2-piece. And yeah, and we're gonna be 1 down probably, right? But maybe that's okay, right? Maybe the set bonus makes up for it. But this is also, if we run 3-piece and 2-piece versus just 4-piece, that's kind of what I was thinking, is like, if you run 3-piece, 2-piece, that's 5. And we're having to drop an expertise. If you just run 4-piece, you're 2, and you get the 2 and the 4 from that, then you don't have to drop that 1 expertise. Right? Am I crazy? I might be crazy. We're already running the trinket, so no, that's not, I don't know that that's accurate. It would be the same. Alright, let's just get it in there. What's the third one we want to do? Bracers? Let's just toss in bracers. We can change it after. Where are they? So there's our 3-piece. And now we want to run 2-piece bone scythe, which the same probably applies to the logic that we took for Saber and Muty with helm and legs, right? I would imagine. There's your 2-piece, and then this one I think we said was like Butcher or something like that. Yeah. And now we're still sitting at 5, so we're just gonna be short 1, right? Is there a cloak that gives us? Oh god, the problem is that this cloak is too good. Like, this cloak might actually be good enough to drop 1. But actually, I'm not sure that there's a cloak that has it. I don't think there's a cloak that has expertise on it, so never mind. Do we have any other slots? We're running 6 there, so we can't drop that. Is there another ring that has it? Can't run the other... whatchamacallit? Reanimation does not have it, and then the only other ring I think was the Ghastly ring, which didn't have it. Let's try it with 5. Gonna need to ask for a melee hunter. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, actually. Now that I'm thinking about that, that's probably true, because we could run that here. This is the Stalker one, right? This one? The problem is that are they running Mongoose again? Are they still run that in the do they still run that in the rotation after the set changes? I don't know anything about Melee. I mean, I guess they maybe do. Or is that Raptor? I don't know. Whatever. Let's just run it. Let's run it. Let's sim it. It's lower. It's lower, but we'll just see. Let's see. You're right. Karaji did have it. Let's check that. 25.5. 25.6. Yeah, so this is better. I mean, maybe it's a similar situation to like IEA Rogue where you have one of them running it. Also, Sanctified needs to be bumped up. I feel like the amount of times that I've said the exact same thing that Yordney has said, like as they type it, is pretty wild. Oops, that's too much. It's getting exciting. It's getting exciting. Backstab has a little bit of life to it. A little bit of life, right? That's 6%. It's pretty good. Alright, so here's our new norm. We're only a couple thousand away, so what can we do in here that is going to help with this? I assume it's going to want the big heavy hitting dagger, right? Like this. I would be very surprised if it catered to anything other than this. You hope next season is Season of Swag. Nice. Yeah, and this is I just bumped it up to 12, so now we're at 34.14, 34.1, which is not, again, it's not super far. It's not great. We're still 3,000 behind, but yeah. 2.1 seems very strong. And there are no other options. The only other dagger option is 1.4, I think. Oh no, Mix does 2. Does 2. But Dream Eater doesn't go away, surely. It's too good. But the energy flow is too good. I'm just poking around a little bit here. Yeah. This makes sense. Are we running? No, we're not running Scoundrel. That would be stupid. Why I was thinking that. What was I thinking? Butcher? What was the other one that's pretty similar? There's the 2. I'm just poking around to see if I can find anything fun here. Was it Thrill? Critical strike chance of your ambush increased by 30%, but that doesn't really matter because we're already talented. Yeah, I don't think this gets away from using Butcher. Too good. All right. So optimizations. Any further optimizations to this? I think what I really see with this is you've got backstab because it's so heavily dependent on those tier bonuses. It forces you into using those tiers, and because of that, you create a situation where you have to use inferior statted gear. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, I don't see a world where this works. I don't see a world. This still puts us down to 5. So, still got 6. We've got our 3-piece. Checking this this out real quick to see if there's anything here. Got your 3-piece, you've got your 3-piece, you've got your 6-piece, and then you've got your butcher. Okay. Yeah, it's still a couple thousand DPS behind. Let's go back. Shoulder and bracer swap. Take a look. What's the itemization on these bracers? Oh, you get the expertise. But then, yeah, you lose them on here too. Yeah, about the same. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but it ain't looking good. It's not looking great. Not looking great. Now, that said, yeah. Not to say that no one, and again, like, this might change. Itemization might change and make this better. I don't know how it actually would for this. If anything, the itemization would make the other specs better. And probably would not benefit Backstab that well, because half of Backstab's gear is old. I think Backstab is just not going to be in a great spot. That said, it might be somewhat competitive. No, I don't think it will actually. I was gonna say for IEA. I'm gonna run all the sims for that, so like we'll find the answer. But I don't think it will be. It's only saving grace. It's only saving grace. Has gotta be. Gotta be. This. If there are like 30-second fights. Which could happen, right? If you run like a low difficulty, but again, that's not really what we're focused on here. Is if there's like a 30-second fight. And even then, yeah, there's just no burst. Yeah. Yeah. That, I think Backstab is just kind of borked, honestly. These changes helped it, right? Like, for sure. They for sure helped it. I just don't think it helps it enough. And this is pre-itemization, like I said, so 34155. It did help it considerably. I'll give it that. That change to swap from 12 to 8 helped it a lot. It made it more competitive to the point now where there will be people who play this for sure. For sure, people who play this. But the top competitive people aren't going to play it. That's where it is. So that's that. Maybe someone will find some good combination, or when itemization changes, maybe it'll impact it in a positive way. But I just don't see a world where itemization changes impact Backstab in a more positive way than they impact Muty and Saber. I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay, on to the next. Okay. This is the cut to the chase version of sub. It could. Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, is the assassination variant of backstab. We might be able to play around with that a little bit because it leans heavier into the poisons. Like even the talents, we lean a little heavier into the poisons, and the scaling like it did with Muty and Saber could play something. Yeah, let's definitely check that out. This is 32109 for cut to the chase. 32109. By the way, does the stream look okay quality-wise? I mean, we're looking at Excel, so there's not like mind-numbing graphics or anything like that. But I want to make sure that there didn't seem to be any drop rate, any drop frames or anything like that. I was running into some problems last stream and I changed some things around. Hopefully the quality's alright. Pixelation and stuff. Alright. Let's keep going here. We'll do assassination last because it's most exciting. So this is the combat version. I don't expect the combat version would differ at all with gear from the sub version. They're very similar. So this is the cut to the chase version of combat. Cool. Thank you for confirming that. Cut to the chase version of combat, which was 27.6 something. Cool. 31290. 31290. Yeah. Now we'll do the Carnage version. $32,727. 32,727. Damn. Set and update link. Okay, now we're gonna do Carnage first again, just because it's a little more exciting. Simulate where we are. Okay. 28,553, that aligns with what we had before. That's great. And now let's just use what we had. This one, I don't know. There's like a world where like Totem could come into play, but it didn't before, so I don't imagine it would now. Let's just run what we have here. This is Carnage with Assassination. Again, this is running IP main hand, so we're skipping Wild Strikes because IP performs better. And Occult. So IP main, Occult off. And yeah, that's that. And then Talents, we've got 4 out of 5 poison application here. Part of me wonders if we could. That's the thing, but I don't know. We'll test it out. Let's give it a shot. So as it sits, 32,080. Just for my own curiosity, that's a little worse. I have probably tested that before and just forgot about it. So the real question here is, if we sit currently at 32,080, which is interesting because it's worse. It's worse. I almost expected it to be a little bit, or at least comparable, but we're a couple thousand under this performing. Is correct? Carnage, yeah. This is where we're at. Man, that's rough. That is rough. Trying to think of what changes we would even make to lean heavier into the poison side of things, because like you're pretty limited on the weapons too, because you want your Dream Eater, right? I was just expecting the tier bonus and the trinket to carry poisons a little more than it did. It's doing like no poison damage at all. Yikes. Yeah, you're casting less, so you have a much smaller Envenom uptime. What is the uptime of that? Envenom uptime, 58%. Yeah, that needs to be much higher to get those procs. Versus, what's the Envenom? You can check on like a Mutilate or something like that, right? If we go in here and we check the uptime of Envenom for Mutilate, it's probably going to be much higher. What was this one at? 58% versus Envenom's versus Mutilate's 94%. So you can see the differentiation there of the damage profile and how that differs. That's a crazy damage profile change though, huh? Look at that. That's nuts. So, I think Backstab's just dead. Still. I mean, I hate to say it because I know people really love it and they really want to play it again. I had a really good time with it in Phase 5. I don't think it comes back to life here. Unless you're playing IEA, and then even then there are better options with like the PK weapon swap on pull, and you know, I think Backstab is just probably just dead in the water here. Let's get this updated. Let's get it in front of people. See if anyone can find, you know, some better stuff here. 32089. I will say at least this change in Sanctified, and let's make sure that that's not 12. At least the change brought it more in line, right? So that's good. I never got a chance to play because I never got a dagger better than running AQ Gen Dreaming. Yeah. I got lucky pretty early on. I say lucky in P5 because I formed my own bugs and just HR'd what I needed. So I had near full bis like on week 2. I got lucky with some drops and stuff, so I was Backstab very, very early on, and it was pretty cool. It was fun to play in a phase that Backstab wasn't even the best in. So Mutilate was king as far as parsing goes. But okay, let's get this updated. I'm gonna get this one updated too. This is the CTTC one. It changed over. We're at 12 and push it. $37.77. All right, and we're gonna nuke that, and then we're going to sort columns Z to A, and there's your new meta, boys. This will all shift a little bit, but that's where we're sitting. Realistically, Saber and Muty are really, really well balanced. Play either of them. Play whichever one you want. There's going to be some fights that cater more towards one versus the other. Longer fights, single target sustain is going to want to stick with Saber. But again, Muty is perfectly fine. Play either of those, whatever you want. They're both great. Backstab, if you don't care about being number one, sure, go play it. But if you're trying to be competitive, you know, take that into consideration. Gotta use, finally thought we could look cool, but we gotta use the 2.5 helm rip. There might be other combinations that are better. I'm not sure. We didn't really play around with it too much, honestly. But there could be, I mean, there could totally be combinations where, you know, using a different piece if you want the Bone Scythe helm, right? Like, let's just look at it real quick. So say we want to run Bone Scythe helm. The only problem, I guess it's not a problem. No, I thought it was going to be, but it's not. Say we want to run that. And then we just got to find, okay, well, like, what else? What else are we going to get rid of to swap out? The only problem you run into is the fact that because the Bone Scythe helm doesn't have expertise, you can't swap out something else that doesn't have expertise. But yeah, you could just hide the helm, which is probably the better choice. I think the only real option here, like, you could not wear the gloves, but the gloves are really good. The boots are amazing. I mean, sure, just... Oh wait, is there... There's not... I forgot there's not, we don't have 2.5 on gloves. So you're kinda stuck. You'd have to get rid of the boots if you didn't want to wear that, because these both have expertise reduction. The boots I don't think do. You'd have to get rid of those badass boots. So that would put you at a 37,313. You'd lose 400 DPS to look cool. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was Saber. Saber changes a little bit this phase. Because... Or actually, no, it doesn't. I lied. I think I lied. Let me actually check that. I didn't think about that. Crap. So when I was doing this, when I was doing the sim, I was doing the sim with the expectation previously that we would not be running the 2.5. I'm glad I just thought about that, because the previous one, the previous BIS did not have 2.5 in it because we were kind of locked in. Now that we have it in there, I need to change the APL because I re-enabled weaving, sinister weaving, but we don't want to do that if we have that set bonus, right? 37.3, yeah. So Saber's actually a little bit better than what we thought. I'm glad that popped back into my head for a second there. 37,518. So Saber pulls ahead a little more there. Some people will be very happy about that. You say S-Canned? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're actually going, we're going fast weapons, which is kind of cool, honestly. Like, this is actually kind of exciting to me, because Saber's pretty fun. Like, I enjoyed it. But realistically, I mean, the rotation is, I mean, it's almost the exact same as Mutilate, right? Like, it's not that different. Past that initial three stack ramp, right? Which you're not doing anything on it. You're just waiting. But realistically, the damage output is all the same. But yeah, the double fast weapons are kind of cool. I don't know. I think that's neat. That makes me more excited to play this spec. Which I will. I haven't played Saber since... What? When did we play Saber last? P1? P2? Something like that. Something like that, right? I don't... Has it been that long? For DPS? I feel like it might be. crazy. That's really cool though. I'm kind of glad. That's exciting. 36026. End of MC. Yeah, that sounds right. I don't remember what I was playing in MC. I was playing Mutilate. I'd have to go back and look. Saber is snapshotting the 25% from tier 3 6 piece. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I just screwed up my dang. Yeah, it is snapshot. So you got the way the Saber free pull goes is you've got your 25 stacks. It is, and again, for people that weren't here when we started talking, one thing I want to note is that when you go and you look at I'm just bringing up on another monitor here. When you go and you look at the phase 7, I can try to find them real quick. I think they posted them on Discord. When you look for the phase 7 sims that are provided, wherever the hell those are, forget where someone posted them recently, but the WoW sims, the phase 7 WoW sims that they do, that team chose to run those without the stack, without the 25 stack. So just keep that in mind, because my sims are using them. So what you see on that chart where it has like us rogues compared to everybody else, that number is going to be lower, and hopefully it'll be lower for everybody, because they chose to disable this 25 stack. So instead of having, it's up again, instead of having 37.5 whatever, instead of having 37.530, you'd end up with 35. So it drops off a couple thousand, right? Hopefully everything would relatively scale, but I mean, there are classes that benefit from snapshotting more than others. So like I said, I don't agree with the fact that they chose to do it that way, but like that's how they want to do it, so that's fine. This is what it is. I'm going to continue doing mine this way. The sims on that sheet use my sims, so they use all these, but they just disable it on their sheet. It's fine. My thought process was the sweats are gonna do this regardless. They're gonna sit there and target a roach and get HAT combo points and spam until they have 25 stacks. And anyone who is remotely speedrunning is also gonna have 25 stacks, because they just have to pull within 30 seconds. That's 30. Yes, 30 seconds. So that's kind of the thought, but again, it's not something that I'm like letting over. So yeah, it will be a little inconsistent. I wish they would just keep everything, because people look at that list and they're like, oh my god, this, they're so low, blah blah blah. But whatever, it's not a big deal. Oh yeah, we're gonna be targeting some roaches. We're gonna be SND spamming if you're not doing speedrunning. So yeah, hold on to your butts. It's gonna be a pain to do and make raids very slow on an already large raid. But yeah, that's just what's gonna happen, right? I don't know that they'll make stacks drop when you drop combat, because what will happen is people will just pull a mob and heal through it and bring that mob into the boss and just kill the mob, like cleave it. Yeah. Speaking as someone who is on one of the top in one of the top guilds, like, they will go to whatever extent they need to make sure that there is that initial damage snapshot. It will happen, and logs generally can't detect it. Nor do they seem to have the development capacity to cater to the 1%. So yeah, so that's that. No, because it's boss engage time. The timer starts with the boss engage. First action the boss casts usually is when that timer, Warcraft logs timer, starts. That's why people do stuff like BWL Nefarian. When you start that fight, while the fight starts, the log doesn't actually start until the first combat log is initiated. Like, first combat entry is initiated from one of the mobs. So people were like hiding and LOSing and making the mobs run to them so that more of them would stack up quicker before the fight started, which was cutting off like 7 seconds on the fight, which is enough to get number 1. Like, that's the type of sweat that happens, just for context. So it's a thing, and it's different based on like the fight, right? Like, each fight can act different based on like the room and how the boss is designed and the combat log entries and stuff like that. All right, so this is where we're at. I'm gonna color code some of this stuff. I'm not doing the rest of these. I'm not doing 30, 90, 120 until the itemization stuff comes in, because this is very time consuming to go do all this stuff. Maybe one day I'll try to automate it or whatever, but that day is not today. So that's where we landed. I'll probably, I don't know if I want to actually like maybe go play a game tonight. That might be fun. Actually play a video game. Or if I'm gonna go do the IEA stuff. One other thing I really want to get answered is for Prebis. There are 2 things that are potentially impacting Prebis right now. One of them, we need confirmation. Can we get to rank 2 prior to Nax opening? Yes or no? We need to get an answer to that. We don't have it. Because that will determine if our Phase 7 Prebis is E6 bis or is it Terra Invasion here. I suspect with the changes to Sanctified from 12 to 6, we might end up doing rank 1, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Not 100% sure. So I need to go back and kind of do these. I did the math with the full rank 12 and rank 1, and it was not enough to beat Phase 6 bis. But the second you got rank 2, it was like 400 DPS over Phase 6 bis. So the second we get rank 2, absolutely. This, I need to rerun these again using the new value from the... Sorry, not that one. Using the new value from this. So instead of 0.83, it'll be whatever the hell it is. So that's that. So this will be easy to test, thankfully, because I can just take what I already have here. This has to be adjusted too, because this is actually saying 8 when it should be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. This should be 6. Go 3. I think this should be 6. Actually, it should be more. I mean, let's just do it right now. Screw it. Whatever. What are we doing here? So, undead. So here's 3 plus another 2 for the tier, for the set. Plus another 2. So this is actually right. Where's this third coming from? Did they change one of these to sanctified? Where am I getting... Oh no, 3. Okay, that's correct. Okay, so 3, but this is actually going to be 2 from that, so -2. 6, which is 9 in sim. Yeah. Now we're just looking at it. So you're saying that this would be 9. Oh, shoot. I meant 6. So you're saying the math would basically fall too. This would be 9. But then 9, wait, but the max is 8. Oh, but I see what you're saying. The math, the corresponding math. But yeah, that makes sense. Corresponding 6. Seal itself would be 6. And then ghastly ring. Seal, ring. And then Kegi's gasp also. So that would be 8, right? Because you've got 5 from tier, the trinket, the ring, and the neck. That would be 8. Because I think this comes from Arizona. So realistically, it would be 12. Yeah. Goodness gracious. But then you said I'm looking at the math. So that's full sank. So if this rank, what do we need to change? Can we actually test this like this though? So basically what we would need to, the only thing we would need to change is what is the adjusted value for rank 1, which is currently 0.83, if it were consolidated into the 8 rank stack. That way you posted above. Let me see. 1.25, is that correct? I think that's correct. So this would need to be 1.25 instead of 0.83. But I don't know that I can test that without pulling this down locally, right? Because I could pull it down locally and just adjust the value manually. We could technically do that. I don't know if I want to though. Running it at 12 instead of 8, giving yourself around 50% more, blah 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 blah. Still lower. Yeah, I'll play around with this. I think that what I can probably just do is I'll pull this down locally, and then I'll just go in and manually update this item, this particular item, to be 1.25, and then just see where it lands. What was this question? Is Mutilate gonna nosedive in comparison to Saber Strike next phase? We can answer that. Rank 1 would be 1.245. Yeah, that's right. No. The answer to your question is no. Here's where we're at. So itemization is still gonna change. So like this is gonna change, but this is where we landed with today's adjustments. The Saber is on top by a little bit, but Muty is very well balanced. These two specs are very well balanced. You realistically play whatever the hell you want between Saber and Muty. If you're not worried about being number 1 in the meters, you can play Backstab if you want. Today's change helped Backstab a good bit by about 5,000 damage, but still not enough to be competitive. Backstab is still, for all intents and purposes in the progression environment, Backstab is still... do you need me to update that for the spreadsheet? Yeah, once I once I want to do another quick audit of it before I send it over to you. I'll ping you. I'll DM you with the link again once I'm ready to update it. This is with the 8 cap. Well, I mean, it's a forced 12 cap, which is the same as an 8 cap. Yeah. Number wise, this is correct. That's that. So next I'm going to do IEA. I'll do that. I'll probably do that off stream because there's nothing fun about that. That's just like me doing numbers. There's no like creative aspect to that. So I'll probably just do that off stream. This was the fun one. This was the one of trying to figure out, what's the best. And I'll say we probably did not find the absolute best combination here. There's probably some improvements that can be done. But for the most part, this is what we're looking at here. Once the itemization comes into play, I will update everything, review each of these to see if there's any improvements that we can make. I'm not expecting anything dramatic, but you never know. And then I'll populate the 30, 90, 120. And I'll do that for sweaty, I'll do that for casual. And then I need to figure out the pre-bis stuff. Plus 3 SP change of a ring. We had some pretty substantial changes, like across the board. Like we fit in quite a bit. So yeah. We're in a good spot. We're in a good spot here. Pretty good. I'm happy with it. I think this is good. Yeah, who plays casually? You would be surprised. Yeah. This is why, and again, like everyone does content a little bit differently, does theory crafting a little bit differently. This has been a pattern that I have adopted that I genuinely like. This is really solid. This is a good way to approach it. You have a sweaty APL, which has all of the, sweaty pre-pull stuff that you would expect. And then also providing the casual one, which is not like expecting you're playing an orc, expecting you're doing all these pre-pulls and you have all the sweaty consumables, like just playing casually, opening from stealth. I think it's really good to have both of those available to look at and at all of these intervals. Like, it gives you a really good sense. And this is why at the end of phase 5, why I was recommending people play Mutilate instead of Backstab. It's because of this format, and I was able to look at it and say, okay, well, most of the damage profile fights in Encourage are going to be the 30-second format, and they're going to be doing it in this way, and blah, blah, blah. So, like, this is proven to be a positive thing, and mostly accurate from what we can tell, like, comparing to logs and stuff. Not perfect, but consistent. I just keep doing it. I enjoy doing it, and hopefully it's been helpful. I mean, it's hard to know, but I think it's been pretty positive. Yeah, that's where we sit. This is where we're at currently. Pretty good. So what do I want to do? Do I want to go play a game or something? Oh, maybe. What's going on in Discord right now? Anything fun? Probably not. Taking a look. Seeing if there's any chatter. Here we go. We're 12. Commenting to Muzz real quick on just. Alright, there we go. Cool. Alright. I think I'm gonna take a break. I've been talking for a while here. Take a break. Maybe go like gear up my Horde Rogue a little bit. Thanks for helping out though. I appreciate it. That was really awesome. I just went on the sim, the itemization 25% per sank. Yes. Yeah, well, it's not technically correct anymore because they bumped the set from 12 to 8. But yes, yes, it's 300% damage is what your Discord link in description, both hyper and just the button are expired links. Oh, to the Discord? Yeah, that's probably true. I locked down our Discord. Yeah, it'll be 37.5. I locked down our Discord because, I mean, just here. Hold on. Let me get you the classic Rogue Discord. I have a personal Discord, and it's just like people that I've met in gaming over the too many years I've been gaming at this point. But let me get you, for anyone who doesn't have it, which you all should. I'll get you the link here in case you don't have. So that's the link to the Classic Rogue Discord, and that's where I hang out. So any questions, conversation is all done there, at least for me. I know a lot of people go to Simon's, and that's cool. But that's where I hang out. But this is where we're at. This is what we got. I'll post these in the Discord so people can take a look. Please, like, if you're into this sort of stuff, look at it. Try to break it. Try to find improvements, even if they're small. Anything that's more than like 100 DPS, hell, even anything that's more than 50 DPS, I will consider changing the BIS to adjust for it. So play around with it. Play around with the set bonuses, little tweaks. Once we get itemization, we'll be in a good spot. But yeah, this is where we're sitting. This is where we're at right now. So play around with it. I'll drop a link in the Discord now under the seasonal channel, and we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna go get some water. Water would be good, and maybe go try to mooch on a molten core on my orc rogue that I need to gear up. So maybe I'll try to do that now. But thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it, especially, shout out to Jordany, if I'm saying your name correctly. Super helpful. Always fun to kind of brainstorm a little bit and do some theory crafting. So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. And stream actually the game soon, maybe. That'd be fun. Yeah, last week. So good luck to the guilds competing, and I'll chat with you guys soon. Take it easy, y'all.
Church. You do it in the streets. You do it at home. The rest is bullshit.